fourth element of contract, which is capacity. Capacity to enter into a contract. So today we are going to look at who actually have the capacity, have the capabilities to enter into a contract. Because if the person does not have capacity to enter into a contract, then again the contract will become void. So according to section 11 of the Contract Act, it lays down who are actually the person who is competent, meaning who are actually the person who have the capacity to enter into the contract. And this person is being listed as 1, 2 and 3. What is this? Number 1, that person must reach the age of majority according to the law which he is subjected to. And in Malaysia, our law is the majority age. The Age of Majority Act, the Age of Majority Act. And under our Age of Majority Act, what is the age to be considered as an adult? What is the age to be considered that you are entitled to enter into a contract so that your contract will be a valid contract? The age of majority in Malaysia is 18 years old. Okay, so meaning if you are below 18 years old, you enter into a contract, then your contract will not be a valid contract. The contract will become a void contract. First one, the person must be of the age of majority, then only the person is entitled to enter into a contract. And second one, that person must be of sound mind, mesti berfikiran waras. What is a sound mind? The person must be able to make a decision, he must be able to form a decision. What actually is the effect of this contract to him? Then only we can say that he is of sound mind. And number 3, he is not disqualified. He is not disqualified from contracting by any law to which he is subjected to. What is the meaning that he is not disqualified? Example is that when the person becomes a bankrupt, apabila seorang menjadi bankrupt, a bankrupt cannot enter into a contract. If I become a bankrupt, my signature will not be valid. Because my signature not be valid, and maybe I'm going to lose my job. Okay? So that's why many government posts, especially the higher posts, if a person becomes a bankrupt, then that person will be terminated because of this, because he cannot enter into a contract. This is stated so under the Bankruptcy Act. So however, for our discussions, I'm not going to discuss number 3, I'm only going to discuss number 1 and number 2, because we are not going to do bankruptcy law, we are only going to do commercial law. Okay, so that's why today I'm going to discuss with you number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is the age of majority, umur dewasa berapa, and second one, a person is of sound mind, orang yang waras itu siapa. What is the effect of the contract which is being entered by a person who does not have the capacity? The person is a minor, bawah umur kanak-kanak. What will happen to the contract? So I'm going to refer to the case of Mahalim versus Das Ghost. Okay, so this is an Indian case. So why I'm using Indian case now? Because the Indian Contract Act and our Contract Act is in pari material. So meaning the provision of the Indian Contract Act and our Malaysian Contract Act, all the provision is similar. So that's why we can use actually these Indian cases also. So what happened in Mahalim versus Das Ghost is this Das Ghost is a minor. So he is below 18 years old. So what happened is he signed a mortgage agreement. He mortgaged his land because he needed money. So apa dia buat? Dia gadaikan tanah dia to the plaintiff, to Mahalim Bibi. He's underage. Okay. He signed the mortgage agreement and he received the money. Dapatlah duit. Tak ada duit, gadai tanah. Right? So now we need to determine whether this agreement which is signed by this Das Ghost, whether it's a valid agreement or not. The court have to know. Agreement which is being entered by a minor is void ab initio. What is the meaning of void ab initio? Void from the beginning. from the date the contract is entered is already void. There is no contract. So meaning, if that contract has a guarantor to it, the guarantor will also not be liable. Why? Because there is no contract actually. From the beginning it's already void. There is no contract. Okay? So that is the effect of a contract which is being entered by a minor. And as I informed you earlier, under our act, our age of majority act, what is the age of majority? Is 18 years old. So meaning here, the general rule says, if you want to enter a contract, you must be 18 years old and above. Below 18 years old, can you enter into a contract? No. What happened to the contract? The contract is void ab initio. However, the statute, this act, provided this exception. These three exceptions, 1, 2, 3, is actually under this act. Dia ada pengecualian. So when I say there is an exception, meaning under this situation, a minor can enter into a contract. Meaning, if a minor enter into a contract because number 1, number 2, number 3, the contract will still be valid. So bila saya kata pengecualian, maksudnya boleh lah kanak-kanak berkontrak. Tapi kalau termasuk bawah 1, 2 dan 3. So what is this number 1, 2 and 3? So number 1, if the contract which is being entered by the minor is in matters relating to what? Relating to marriage, divorce, downfall and adoption. Kalau kontrak itu berkenaan dengan apa anak-anak? Perkahwinan, perceraian, dawa, ni harta, like matrimonial property lah, harta perkahwinan, right? And adoption, dan juga anak angkat. Then it is a valid contract. So now you realize or not why in Malaysia sometimes we have a minor at the age of 13, 16 and they enter into a contract of marriage and still the contract is valid. We have a lot of cases here in Malaysia. They are only 16 years old, 15 years old, they enter into a contract of marriage. Is that contract valid? Why is it valid? Because of this exception. The law, I think the law is fully aware of these situations. Okay? We are the third world country, and third world country, this is something normal. Okay? So that's why the law provided for this exception. Sebab tu ada pengecualian macam ni. Okay? Once the parties get married, that's the day they wanted to divorce. Once they wanted to divorce, then they have a child. They want to give their child for adoption. However, they are minor, they need to sign agreement. Will that agreement be valid? Yes, it's valid. Right? Why is it valid? Because this is an exception under number 1 here. And under number 2, where it involves the religion and religious rights and usages of any class or persons within Malaysia. What does it mean? Where it involves religion, depends on your religion. A Muslim, what is the age of majority for a Muslim? Balik. For other races, what is the age of majority to be able for them to enter into the contract? Okay, so this is number 2. So let us have a look at the case of Rajaswari versus Balakrishnan to illustrate this further. So what happened Rajaswari versus Balakrishnan? This is the situation where they have agreed to be married and they have exchanged, according to the Hindu's custom, they need to exchange gift. So they have already exchanged gift, and now suddenly Balakrishnan don't want to proceed with the contract of marriage. So that's why Rajaswari now is suing Balakrishnan. Because why? Because he have breached the contract. And in his defense, what did Balakrishnan say? Yeah, because Rajaswari is a minor, and because she is a minor, then according to Balakrishnan, the contract of marriage is actually void. So is it void here? No, it's valid. Why is it valid? Because it falls under the exception. So who win the case here? Who win the case here? Rajaswari. So Rajaswari is entitled to the damages. Okay, so let us go on to the third exception. So the third exception, we are fully aware the age of majority is 18 years old under the Age of Majority Act. However, if there is other law, other statute, which provide that the age of majority is different from the one provided by the Age of Majority Act, then we are going to follow that law. Example, election. So to be able to vote during election day, you must be 21 years old. Why is it not 18? Because under that law, it provides that 21 years old is the age of majority. Sebab dalam undang-undang itu cakap umur dia berapa? Dewasa. 21. So meaning, if other statute states that the age of majority is different from this act, from this statute, we are going to give priority to that law. Kita akan bagi keutamaan undang-undang yang mana? Yang ini, yang itu. Yang itu. Not this one. Okay? So we are not going to follow this. Instead, we are going to follow that law, which provides a different age of majority. Okay, now let us go on with the next slide. This is necessaries, keperluan. This is not under the Age of Majority Act, children. This is actually under the Contract Act, under Section 69 of the Contract Act. Whereby, under Section 69 of the Contract Act, if a minor is being supplied with goods, or it's not the minor who is being supplied with goods, it is the person who the minor is bound to support is being supplied with goods which is suitable to his station of life, then the minor can be made liable. Okay. So this goods actually is known as necessity. Seorang kanak-kanak dibekalkan barang yang dia perlukan. Bukan dia perlukan. Mungkin orang tanggungannya memerlukan barang tersebut. Why you have orang tanggungan? Why you have person who is bound to support? Who are these people? Remember just now, we have just finished with, I've just finished elaborating on the exception just now. Can a minor get married when he's below 18 years old? Can, right? So bila dah kahwin, when he already get married, then he have a wife, have a child. So this wife, this child, he is bound to support these people. So the goods is not supplied to him. However, let's say the good is being supplied to the wife, to the child. Then under that situation, the minor will also be liable for that goods because it's known as necessity. As long as the good is necessity, it's necessary to the minor or to that person who he is supposed to support. Okay then, fine. You are clear that if a minor is being supplied with these goods which is actually necessary to him, he will be liable. We are clear about that. But now the main problem is this. What kind of goods is actually necessities? What kind of goods is actually necessary to a minor? Masalahnya sekarang, apa dia barangnya yang kita kata keperluan? Is it food? Is it clothes? Okay? So, our Contract Act is silent on this, and again, there is a lacuna on this. Because we don't have a guideline to decide what kind of goods is to be considered as necessity. And once there is a lacuna, what we are going to do, children? We are going to refer to the English law. Kita akan ikut undang-undang Inggris. So let us have a look at the case of Nash versus Inman. This is an English case. What happened in this situation? This is a Cambridge student. Inman is a Cambridge student. What he did, he go and ordered 11 waistcoat. I don't know how a waistcoat look like. So I think it must be something which is very expensive. Okay. So he ordered this, however later on he refused to pay for that. So in this case, court held actually that waistcoat is not necessary to him because he has enough clothes already. So it's not necessary to him. Once it's not necessary to him, will he be liable? He will not be liable. Remember this. When somebody is being sold to a minor and it's not necessary to him, will the minor be liable? No, he will not be liable. Maksudnya apa kat sini? Tak perlu bayar lah. Siapa tak perlu bayar? Sebab itu bukan keperluan. Jadi minor tu tak perlu bayar. So that minor no need to pay because it's not necessity. Why is it so? Because the law is trying to protect the minor. However, if necessity, Kalau keperluan, will the minor be liable? Perlu, boleh. Minor have to pay. Minor kena bayar. Okay. So now, let us have a look at this Malaysian case, whereby in this Malaysian case, we actually apply the case of Nash versus Iman to determine whether it's necessity or not. So what happened in this case of Gujaran Singh? Gujaran Singh obtained a scholarship to further studies in this Teacher Training Institute. Tak perguruan lah. Teacher Training Institute. And he is supposed to serve the government for 5 years. It's normal. You obtain scholarship, you need to serve the government. So he only served the government about 3 years, 10 months, and after that he left. So now, the government is suing him for compensation. So of course, you think what did he claim? He claimed at that time, when he signed that agreement, he is only a minor. Okay, so because of that, he says, well, I'm not liable because I am a minor. A contract entered into by a minor is what at initial. So now, the court need to determine whether this scholarship, whether it is actually necessary or not. If it is a necessity, then the minor need to pay for that scholarship. So in deciding whether this scholarship is actually a necessity or not to a minor, court have drawn these 3 guidelines. First of all, we need to look at the goods, the nature of the goods or the service which is being supplied. Apa barang, apa perkhidmatan yang diberikan itu? Number 1, we look first, what actually this goods which is being supplied to the minor, what actually this service which is being supplied to the minor. And secondly, what is the minor's actual needs? Apa keperluan sebenar kanak-kanak ni? What he really needs? And thirdly, his station in life. Status dia dalam kehidupan ini, his station in life. So under this situation, got out actually, education is a necessity to a minor. To be able to have a better future, a child need to have education. Betul, pendidikan keperluan. Semua kanak-kanak kena ada pendidikan. Okay. And if minor cannot afford to get this education, of course a minor then need to have a scholarship to be able for the minor to obtain education. Kalau dia tak mampu, macam mana nak dapat pendidikan? Jadi, dapatkanlah beasiswa, scholarship. Okay? So now that's what we say. What is the good which is supplied by the minor? So in this case is scholarship. Is a scholarship actually necessity? Pendidikan necessity. Tapi kalau tak mampu, kena dapat scholarship. Yes, education is necessity. However, if cannot afford, then you need to obtain a scholarship. So that's why we have number 3, his station in life. Status di dalam kehidupan, meaning anak orang susah, came from poor family, you need scholarship. However, if you come from a rich family, you don't need a scholarship because you come from a rich family. So under that situation, it's not a necessity to you, why? Because you came from a rich family. Understand what it means? Okay, number 2, what is the actual needs of a child? Apa keperluan sebenar kanak-kanak itu? Like Gujaran Singh, what actually is his actual need? Education. Okay, let me give you this example. So let's say you are accountancy student. What is actual needs? You need law books, right? That is your actual needs. However, suddenly you go to the bookstore, what do you buy? You buy this fashion design book, cost 200 ringgit. Is it your actual need? Why you need this fashion design book? You are not this fashion design student. So under that situation, that book is not a necessary to you. Because that is not your actual need. Okay? So that's why I said, all these 3 things need to be considered. The court said you have to consider all these 3 things before we can say whether the item is actually necessity or not. If after all these 3 things have been considered, then only we can determine whether this item is a necessity or not. What I'm trying to tell you, student, is this. A minor and a B minor, so the necessity might not be the same. Okay. Both are minor, both are 16 years old, or let's say both are 17 years old. However, is the necessity of this fellow and that fellow, is it the same? It's not the same. Why is it not the same? We have to look at who actually is this minor. Tengok dulu siapa dia. If the minor is a student, then a book is actually his actual needs. However, if let's say the minor is already working, let's say working as a what can you say, a bellboy in a hotel, is this book necessary to him? No, it's not necessary to him. Under that situation, maybe a motorbike is a necessity to him because he need to go to work with that motorbike. So all these have to be taken into account. Okay. Then what happened in the case of Government of Malaysia versus Gujaran Singh Act? So in this case of Government of Malaysia versus Gujaran Singh, the court had, yes, this is necessity. However, the amount which need to be paid is only the actual amount. Meaning the amount which need to be paid to the government is only a small amount. The actual amount which he owes the government. Government will be at a loss in that situation. Why I say government will be at a loss? You cannot charge interest, okay? And money depreciate. He obtained the scholarship a few years back, and now $1,000 10 years ago and $1,000 today is not the same, because money depreciates. And because of that, we have these new exceptions for a minor to be liable under contract. What is this exception? Under number 5, this is scholarship, especially for those scholarship which is being obtained from the government bodies. So the Parliament have amended the Contract Act. So under Section 4A of the Contract Amendment Act 1976, so now if a minor entered into a contract with the government, then the contract will be as if the minor is an adult. Why? If you look at the provision of this section, it says, any contract or agreement between an appropriate authority, pihak berkuasa yang berkenaan yang wajar, government. Who is authority? Government, right? So if any person enter into a contract with the government, we have regard to whatever the name is, whether it's a reward, scholarship, bursary, loan, as long as it's for the purpose of education or learning, then that person will be considered as if that person is not a minor, an adult. You understand what I mean? What? Because of this word, any contract by any person. Any person maksudnya sesiapa sahajalah, tak kisahlah dewasa ke, kanak-kanak ke, okay? Dan that person is bounded by the contract. So meaning now, your loan is with PT-PT, and at the time when you sign your loan, you are 17 years old, 10 months, 6 days, let's say. Actually, you are a minor, right? Is that contract valid? It can go under necessity, like Gujaran Singh just now. However, if it goes under necessity, then the government will only receive the actual amount. So because PT-PTN is the loan from government to further studies, it falls under this. So now if you fail to pay the loan, and at the time when you sign the agreement, you are actually a minor, can now the government sue you and on the whole amount stated by the agreement? Yes. You are going to pay the amount plus interest plus. Why? As if you are a major, an adult. Okay? Because of this word, any person. Okay, so now for government, they will not go under Section 69. Instead, they will go when they wanted to sue a minor, they will go under this section. However, this is only for whom? For government sector. Private, can they go under this section? Cannot. So let's say your loan is from Hong Kong Shai Bank. So if they wanted to sue you, can they go under this section? Cannot. So for private sector, they are going to use which section? They are going to go under section 69. Okay? Okay, let us go on to the next slide. This is insurance. So remember during your school days, so during my school days, about 30 years back, 35 years back, so my teacher used to distribute this form. It's actually an insurance form. We take this form back home and our parents will sign this form, whereby you are being covered by this insurance. So if anything happened to you while you are at school, you are being covered. The insurance company is going to pay you compensation. So actually this contract is between whom and whom? Actually it's between the insurance company and the minor. It's not between the insurance company and the parents. The parents is only the party who gave the consideration. Remember just now when I taught you about consideration, I said consideration can come from another party, the case of Winkata Shinaya. Okay, so under this situation actually, the agreement is between the insurance company and the child. So that's why if anything happened to the child is entitled to the compensation. Remember of privity of contract? Okay? So then why actually the agreement, the contract is valid? Because you are at that time you are only a child. This is because this exception is being provided so under the Insurance Act. Sebab akta insurans bagilah, boleh. Ya, ada pengecualian. And then the last one is apprenticeship. Well, you remember this series by Donald Trump, Apprentice? Okay, what does it mean? Apprentice. Apprentice meaning you are on training. You are a trainee, right? You are not working yet. However, as apprentice, pelatih lah. Belum lagi bekerja, pelatih. However, as an apprentice, you are entitled to allowance and you need to sign an agreement saying that after you have completed the terms, you are going to be employed. So at that time, when this person become an apprentice, this person is actually a minor. Then, is the contract valid? Because that person is a minor at that time when that person become an apprentice. It's valid. It's valid under this Children's and Young Person Employment Act. Akta Pekerjaan Kanak-kanak dan Orang Muda. Okay, it's a valid contract. Okay, so just now we know that a contract which is being entered by a child, by a minor, is not valid. Then what happened to the guarantor? Can or not find that contract between the company and the child is what? Can or not the company, let's say, can or not the bank then sue the guarantor? Let's say the parents is the guarantor. Cannot. Why cannot? Because the contract is not there anymore. Void ab initio. From the beginning, the contract is already void. If the contract is void from the beginning, meaning there is no contract. And as a guarantee actually, his liability stands together with the main contract. Okay, so that's why the guarantor also cannot be sued by the bank. So this is different from a contract of indemnity. Indemnity is a contract, is an independent contract whereby the person agrees to indemnify the parties if, let's say, the parties have a loss. So under the situation, of course, under contract of indemnity, the person can be sued because of the loss suffered by the bank. Okay, we are going to go on to still under capacity. However, we are going to go on the topic of capacity of person of a sound mind. We are going to determine who is actually of sound mind. Nak tengok lah ya hari ni, sekarang ni, nak tengok siapa dia orang yang waras ni di bawah undang-undang. Sebab tak waras, Tak boleh buat kontrak. Siapa dia orang yang waras? Tadi dah tengok siapa dia yang kita katakan kanak-kanak yang orang dewasa. Saya nak tengok siapa yang waras. So under section 12, section 1 of the Contract Act, it says here, a person is said to be of sound mind for the purpose of making a contract. Seorang itu waras dan boleh berkontrak if at the time when he makes it, pada masa dia berkontrak itu, these two elements exist. Dua-duanya ada. What is it? Number one, he is capable of understanding it. Boleh faham apa yang dia tanda tangan. And secondly, he can form a rational judgment as to its effect upon his interest. Dia boleh fikir secara rasional what is the effect, kesan kontrak ni atas kepentingan diri dia. So what will happen to me if I enter into the contract? What will happen to me? What is the effect? So he can think of this. Once he can think of the effect of that contract, then only we said that the person of sound mind. Okay, the difference is between a contract which is being entered by a minor and a person of sound mind is this. A contract which is being entered by a minor is void. Remember I said void. A contract which is being entered by a person of unsound mind tidak waras. Okay, so if a contract is being entered by a person of unsound mind, tak waras lah, unsound mind, this contract is voidable. Ada tambahan lah, cuba kat belakang. So what is the meaning of voidable? Void, batal. Voidable, boleh, batal. So what is the difference between void and voidable? Void, no choice. No choice. This law says batal, void. Voidable, there is a choice. So meaning if the parties want to set aside the contract, meaning the party want to rescind the contract, the agreed parties of course, mestilah pihak yang teranaya nak ketepikan kontrak, kan? However, if the parties wanted to go on with the contract, tak nak ketepikan, nak teruskan, pun boleh juga. Okay? So that is the meaning of void, voidable. Void, got choice or no? Got choice or not? Void, no choice. So just now for a minor, do the parties have a choice? No, court says, sorry. The law says void, batal, no choice. Tak ada pilihan, nak tak nak kontrak memang batal. Okay? So however, a contract with a person of unsound mind is voidable. So let's say a parties enter into a contract of marriage and maybe the bride or the bridegroom is of unsound of mind. Tak waras lah salah satu tu, pengantin perempuan ke pengantin lelaki tak waras kan. Okay? And they enter into a contract. Is it a valid contract? Valid contract? Is it a valid contract, student? Valid, if it's not been set aside, it's valid. Kalau dulu dah suka, tak nak ketepikan, sah. Kan? Sah. Why valid? Because they don't want to set it aside. What did I tell you just now? Voidable. The voidable meaning this is an option. Ini adalah pilihan. Nak teruskan boleh tak? Can. Go ahead. No problem. However, if let's say the agreed parties, pihak yang teranaya nak ketepikan, want to set aside, can or not? Can. This is his option. So that's why we say this is voidable. So, okay. Who is a person of unsound mind? So when that person is mentally disordered person. Mentally disordered meaning something is wrong inside here. Okay, this is mentally disordered person. So all these people will be sent to Tanjung Rambutan and Tampoi, right? Because they are mentally disordered. And then that person become incapacitated through sickness. He's not mentally disordered. Why? He become incapacitated tidak upaya. Why? Because he's sick. Tak sihat. Okay? Because of old age. Okay? Old age they become senang. Nanyok kan? Or because of alcohol or other drugs. Minum arak, ambil dadah. So all these people, they cannot make a rational judgment. So that's why they cannot even walk straight. Why? Because they take drugs. So that's why they cannot even walk straight. So all person is not supposed to enter into a contract. So if during the periods when he is of sound mind, can he enter into a contract? Yes, when he is sound mind, masa waras tu, you enter into a contract, that contract will be valid. However, remember what did I tell you, student? This contract entered by person who is unsound of mind is only voidable. Boleh, batal sahaja, bukan batal. Okay? So, under this situation, the law says that it can only be voidable if the other parties is fully aware about the unsoundness of mind. Meaning the other parties is aware that he is entering into a contract, a person who is of unsound of mind. So let's say you had already signed your PTPTN, right? At that time, when you sign your PTPTN contract, you are 17 years old, 10 months. But still you cannot get away with this, because just now we have discussed about necessity, we have discussed about scholarship with the government. You are bounded by that contract. The contract is valid. So you cannot go under age of majority. However, you want to claim that at that time when you sign the PTPTN contract, you are of unsoundness of mind. Why? Because you take this 10 tablet of Panadol, and because of that you cannot think right. So now you wanted to set aside the contract. You say at that time I'm unsound of mind, I'm not well, I suffer headache that day, I take 10 tablet of Panadol. Can you set aside the contract? Can you say that, well, this contract is voidable, I'm going to set it aside because that day, that particular day, I'm not well, I am of unsound of mind. You cannot do that. Why cannot do that? What did I told you just now, children? The other party. Who is the other party? PTPTN. PTPTN must be fully aware that you are of unsound of mind. You must tell PTPTN, today I'm not well. Just now, I had already consumed 10 tablets of Panadol. Okay? Then only you can set aside the state contract. If the other parties is not aware, then the contract will still be valid. So this is what happened in case Somenti versus Maha Property. What happened in this case? The parties wanted to set aside the contract because she claims that she is of unsound of mind. However, the court says cannot. Why cannot? Because the other parties is not aware of this situation. Okay, now children, let us have a look. What happened to corporations? How are we going to determine whether a corporation have the capacity to enter into a contract or not? What is a corporation? Companies, they are known as corporation. Okay, and like UiTM, this is organization because all these corporations, they have a set of law whereby under the set of law they are being incorporated under the set of law. Okay, so they have, for companies like Shell, Petronas, they have the M&A, Memorandum and Article of Association, and under the Memorandum and Article of Association will lays down, they have a list what can be done and what cannot be done by the said companies. So if they did something, they entered into a contract which actually is not allowed by the Article of Association or by the Memorandum of Association, then of course the contract will not become a valid contract. However, a discussion in detail on this will be done another law subject which is known as company law. Okay, students, so today this is actually a discussion of capacity, and you can pose questions to me, so I'll try my best to answer your question. Thank you, students.
I am 15 years old at the moment. My father made an agreement in writing witness by a commissioner for oaths, and it is stamped. In the agreement, my father agreed to transfer to me his motorbike and transfer my license next year if I obtain straight A's in my PT3. May I know whether this is a valid contract?
So this question posted by Atif to me is with regards to the agreement, the promise made by his father. His father wanted to transfer a motorbike under his name, and at that time he's only 15 years old. So the first of all, let me consider the issue of consideration, whether there is consideration or not in this agreement, because we said that if an agreement without consideration, the agreement will not be valid. However, under this situation, it falls under exception to section 26A, because under section 26A, when agreement which is being made by parties who have this close relationship, meaning they have blood ties, so this promise is made by the father, and Atif is the son of his father, and because of that, maybe Atif, once this is being registered, so let's say if the father registered the motorbike under his name, so if this is in writing, that agreement will become valid, though it does not have consideration. Okay, of course this is not similar to the case of Tan Sosim. Why? Because in the case of Tan Sosim does not have blood relations. Okay, so because of that, Atif can claim with regards to this. With regards to intention, because this is domestic family agreements, right? Since the agreement has been stamped, it's been put in writing, we said that there is an intention on the part of his father to be bounded by the law. And we can refer to the case of married versus married under this situation. Atif is only 15 years old, and because 15 years old, we said that the parties does not have the capacity to enter into the contract, and if the parties does not have capacity, then the contract will become void. However, in this case, we can refer this to the exception to the Age of Majority Act. Why? Because for a child to obtain license, so to obtain license for a motorbike, a child need to be 16 years old. So then we take 16 years old as the age which the contract will be a valid contract. So this falls under exception 3, whereby it says that if there is other law stated the age of majority, then we are going to give priority to that law. Okay? Okay, I hope that this will answer your question. Thank you.